We're talking about auditing and upgrading your nonprofit consulting business. If you are just starting out and you haven't really launched your business yet, use this as a business planning day to look at what different areas of your business you might want to be focusing on. If you have started your business and you're just feeling like it's not where you want it to be, or you know that it needs to grow, this is going to be a great presentation just to give you a chance to really focus in and think about these different areas of your business, what you might be doing wrong, what you might be missing. We want to help give you a bird's eye view looking down just with some helpful outside perspective. And why we wanted to do this presentation is we know from our journey building our consulting business that it can be very lonely, especially if you're doing this by yourself. Luckily, Kat and I have had each other since the beginning of our entrepreneurship journey that we started in 2021. But I know a lot of consultants that are doing this by themselves, doing this solo entrepreneur thing, and it can be really isolating, especially if you're working from home and you're struggling to find clients, you're struggling to build a network, build partnerships, come up with things like how to price and package your services, how to find better and consistent clients. You could be feeling frustrated that you aren't growing faster. And I think most importantly, you probably became a consultant or thinking about becoming a consultant because you want to achieve this work-life balance, this flexible schedule, financial freedom where you're not tied to a 9-to-5 job. And right now in your business, you're just not feeling like you've achieved that yet, and you're feeling a little bit frustrated. So that's why we wanted to put together everything that we have learned to help you not feel so alone as you're going through that growth phase of your business. Okay, so we have 4 core areas, and these are the same core areas that we go through in our mentorship program, which I'm assuming most of you are familiar with, but it's our business incubator for nonprofit consultants. And each week, what we do is we cover a different topic in one of these 4 categories. So we have marketing, we have sales, we have operations, and then we have your product, which is also your customer success. And by the end of this workshop, we're hoping that you'll be able to assess and improve the effectiveness of your business in these 4 core areas. And I'd be interested if anyone wanted to post in the chat, which of these 4, knowing your own business, do you think you're struggling with the most right now? Is it a sales problem? Are you not sure how to get clients and close them and turn them into clients? Are you struggling to set up systems and the operations back end of your business? Is it more of a marketing, content creation problem? Or do you feel that you aren't sure how to deliver the right services to your clients and you're really struggling with that project management aspect? See a couple popping up in the chat here. Heather is saying sales and product, say operations. Great, yeah. And we find that we struggle with all of these at different points in our business. It really just depends what we're doing. Sometimes we feel really great about our operations and then we try to grow and then we need to go back to the drawing board and fix some of our systems. So same with marketing, sales, and product. So these will change over time, but these are the 4 core you really always want to be keeping an eye on. All right, so we're going to talk about marketing first. And really your goal with your marketing is figuring out how you're publicly presenting your business to the world. That's most likely going to be online unless you're working in person, a really regional, local focus. You're probably going to be representing yourself digitally with a website, with different social media channels. And you're going to be using those to reach and engage your target audience. So when we're doing a marketing audit, we're really looking at these things. How are we showing up online? How are we reaching our ideal client? And how are we engaging them to bring them into sales conversations? So the first question, and it's harder than you think, this is probably one of the toughest questions that you have when building a business, is do you know who your ideal nonprofit client is? So that's the first and most difficult question. And I say that because, of course, you'll all say back, well, nonprofits, these are my ideal client. But there are 1.9 million nonprofits in the United States. They are various sizes, various shapes. They have various issues that they work on, different niches. And a lot of them face very different challenges based on the types of work that they do. Some can be very volunteer heavy, some can be public policy organizations, some can be higher education, religious institutions, and they're very different. It's very broad, vast in scope. The more that you can niche down who you want to work with based on who you've worked on with in the past or what you like to do. For instance, you might want to work with enterprise level higher ed institutions, or you might like to work with startup environmental nonprofits. These are different niches for your nonprofit client. That's going to affect everything else about your business because it's going to affect how much money they might have. If they're a startup, they're going to have different revenue versus an enterprise level organization. And that is going to really determine then what kind of services you feel comfortable offering based on the price point that that nonprofit is able to afford. So target audience, ideal customer, these are really important questions, and you want to drill down as deep as you can into that question. You also want to be thinking in tandem with who your client is what your defined niche is. So a big mistake that we see a lot of new consultants make when they come into the mentorship program is that they are a nonprofit professional. They have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years of experience. And the first thing that they do is say, well, I know how to do all kinds of things. I've been a development director. I've been a marketing manager. I've done email marketing. I've managed volunteer programs, intern programs. I built a website one time. I figured out how to do it, and now I know how to do it. And we made the same mistake when we were starting out. We made our website and we listed every single skill that we possibly had. And we thought, well, this is great. We're offering 25 different services across the whole spectrum of anything that a nonprofit could need. It's awesome. People are going to want to hire us. But what it does is it really dilutes your brand, your marketing, because people just can't figure out what you do, what your specialty is, what you're good at. So it's actually better to go the opposite direction and niche down and really identify the core service, whether that's going to be grant writing or email marketing or direct mail or planned giving or volunteer program management, nonprofit startup, paperwork, accounting. There's a lot of different niche services that you can offer, and people are going to start to understand that that is your specialty. So these are two core questions we definitely want to be asking ourselves as we build and grow in our business. We then want to be asking how consistent is our branding across different channels? What channels are we using? Do we have a website? Is that something we feel that's important to the business to have this online storefront? Do we have at least one social media channel where we are consistently posting online? Is that content targeted towards our ideal client? Is it clearly defining and representing our niche? How consistent are we? Are we posting every week or according to a specific cadence? And finally, can our potential client, our ideal nonprofit client, easily find us and engage us online? So these are all the questions we want to be thinking about. So the first exercise that I want you to do, if you have a piece of paper by you, a notebook, that's great. I'm sure a lot of you have done a SWOT analysis before. It's a really simple way to just break out your ideas. But I want you to think about these questions, look at your current marketing strategy or the ideas that you have had for how to build it, and start breaking them into strengths and weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So a strength might be that you have a really great niche figured out. You know exactly what you want to offer, but your weakness is that you are not clearly communicating that online because you're not posting consistently on a social media channel. Opportunity might be that you want to start a blog and you know that you want to consistently produce this blog every week, and that could be a way to start generating content in support of your brand and in support of demonstrating your niche and your structure, your services. So just take a few minutes. I'll just give you just a minute or two just to jot down some ideas. And if you're just joining or joining late, we're doing a SWOT analysis of your marketing strategy. So we're going to be going over these questions here of your ideal nonprofit client. Have you clearly outlined and defined your niche? Are you consistently posting or consistently producing content for your different channels? And can clients easily find and engage with you online? So I'll just give you 2 minutes and we'll pick up at 12:15. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. And of course, these are things that every business struggles with, no matter what the size, particularly like the constant, consistent posting on a certain channel. You definitely don't want to think that you need to post on every channel. You don't need to have a Twitter and Instagram, TikTok and YouTube and LinkedIn. It's really not good for you. Like it's not going to produce better results necessarily, especially if you're a one-person operation. But we do recommend choosing one channel where you think that your target audience is active and deciding what kind of content you can consistently post. Consistency is going to way outweigh quantity, so if you can just post once a week and it's really great quality work, that's going to outweigh posting every single day. All right, it's 12:15, so we're going to keep moving here, and feel free to keep working on this as we move on to the next section. All right, so this is probably a big one for a lot of you, how to attract more sales. Okay, cool. Sorry, Kat. Sales is a huge one. You want more clients, you want better clients, you want clients that are great to work with and that are better to work with than your current full-time job. So for sales with your business, if this is somewhere that you're struggling, we want to be talking about how we're efficiently converting leads into clients. So does everyone know the difference between a lead and a client? A lead is going to be someone who is in the awareness or consideration phase, where they have noticed you, maybe they followed you online, maybe they've connected with you on LinkedIn, maybe they have signed up for your newsletter, and they're in this phase where they're checking you out and they kind of like what you're offering. They might be interacting with you, commenting on your post, but they haven't actually paid for a service yet. So these are people that are raising their hand and saying, hey, I kind of like you. And your job is to now approach them and say, is there a problem that I can help you with? So what are the quick checks that we want to be looking at in your sales strategy, your sales system? We want to know first and foremost, and this is really tough and it took us a while to get down pat. This is not something that we had when we started out. We want to have a clear sales process from lead to client. So we want to know that from when they enter your funnel at point A, somewhere through your marketing content, that there's a clear path for them to go from liking an Instagram post to connecting with you on LinkedIn to sending you a DM to chatting a little bit, seeing if maybe they have a problem that you might be able to help them with. You might be able to serve them in fixing that problem. And then what your sales script or framework is from there to convert these leads into clients, whether that is a sales call, making sure that you have a proper checkout page set up if that's what you offer, or if you have a proposal or whatnot that you offer to them to consider before they purchase from you. We also want to make sure that we're tracking all interactions with potential clients. Even if it is as simple as an Excel spreadsheet, we want to make sure that we have a clear list of all viable leads who we might want to approach as a potential customer. And we have a couple exercises on how to do this if you're just getting started, where you want to basically make a list of everyone in your network, everyone that you know, reach out to them and do 15 to 20-minute informational sessions with them. It's a great way to get started. And we have a really popular training on that within the mentorship program, just to really get yourself off the ground, start having conversations, figuring out what problems there are out there that you might be able to solve. And finally, when you're getting to be a little more intermediate, a little more advanced, we want to start figuring out the conversion rate and figuring out where in this funnel do prospects normally drop off? Where do they stop in the process? Do they meet a roadblock? And then they do not end up completing the purchase that you were trying to move them towards. So there's some heavy questions. I don't expect you all to have all of these. You might not even have a sales process. You might not have a sales script or framework yet, and that's okay. Very simple way to do this, and the exercise that we are going to do here is to look at the sales funnel. This is a really simple 5-step process. Again, this is going to point back to our marketing. All of these different buckets are going to work together. So we talked about marketing in the last slide, the last phase of this presentation. Let's say that you are committed to posting twice a week on LinkedIn and you're talking about challenges that nonprofits may face when trying to set up a planned giving program if you are a planned giving specialist and that is the service that you're offering. So you're posting about planned giving and the benefits of it, and you have someone who comments on your post and says, "This sounds great, would love to do this at my organization." So that probably means that you're going to reach out to them because they've raised their hand, they're now a lead, you're adding them to your list, and you're going to send them a DM. You're going to use a specific sales script where you're going to say, "Hey, I noticed that you commented. Is this something you're interested in for your organization? I have a couple services I might be able to help." And so you're going to ask them a couple pre-qualifying questions. If they are checking all the right boxes, you're going to move them to the point where you make the offer. And if all goes well and you make that offer correctly, you're going to achieve the sale. And once you've achieved the sale, and perhaps that's a training on planned giving or a workshop for the organization where you come in and do a 2-day workshop, that is then what you are going to deliver as the product. So I want to give you all just a few minutes. If you have a piece of paper, I encourage you to write these down, sketch out this funnel, and in the most simple way possible, just start thinking about what is one kind of content on one platform that I could produce consistently. And what would the conversion be? Would it be someone commenting or DMing you, or would it perhaps be offering a sales call? If you already have a sales funnel, I want you to be thinking about the roadblocks. Where is that breakdown period? Where in here do you not move them to the next stage? Is it when you offer the sales call, they don't show up? Is it when you are DMing, they just stop answering you? Are you emailing with them and then they don't email back and they don't ever set up the meeting? Or is it after you've made the offer, you've sent them a proposal, you never hear back from them? So at what point are you losing people in this process? And if anyone has anything that they'd like to share, post in the chat. What do you think is the hardest part about the sales process for you? And I'll just give you about 2 minutes here more, and then we'll move on to the next section. Gotcha, Heather. You're saying great sales calls, and then you lose them during the offer period. So are you making the offer on the call? And I would also wonder, how long are your calls? Because we've definitely had instances much earlier on in our business where we were basically getting on these hour-long phone calls and just chatting with these nonprofits, and they seem really interested, and we put together a whole custom proposal and send it over to them, and then they would never buy. And there's a couple reasons why that might be a problem. So you might not have pre-qualified. Yeah. Okay, cool. You might not have pre-qualified them properly. So you want to definitely make sure, based on whatever service you're offering, there's ways to develop questions that you ask in a whether you're DMing or emailing, or you have a survey before they set up the meeting, where you're asking questions to make sure, can they afford this service? Is this service actually going to solve their problem? What is their problem? If you can do all of that beforehand, whether it's in direct message on LinkedIn, oh, I see Pratna saying she can only see her own comments. Catalina, can you check on that? Heather said she tends to have great sales calls and then loses them in the offer period. So yeah, so I would say pre-qualifying is really important so that you know by the time they get on the call, yes, they have the budget. Yes, they have a very clear problem. You have a very clear solution. And then you're going to be able to close more. Another thing is having, oh yeah, Kat says select everyone, and you should be able to see everyone's comments. Another thing that you might be dealing with is not having clear next steps at the end of the call. So if they haven't actually agreed to purchase on the call, you want to make sure you're booking another call from that call so that before you hang up, you say, "Okay, it sounds like we can help you. This is the service we're going to offer you. We'll send you over the details now." And if they're agreeing to buy, check out that day, great. If you can get them to check out on the call, that's even better. But if not, you want to say, "Okay, when would we like to talk about this decision? Let's set up a call. I'm available tomorrow morning if you have any other questions." All right, just give you guys one more minute on this, and then we'll move on. Okay, cool. Stage 3 of your audit is going to be looking at your operations. This is the business administration and the systems that you are using to manage your business, manage your client-facing operations. So this is really important, especially as you're starting out or in your initial stages, because the better you build this at the foundational stage and you create a very organized system for managing your business, managing your finances, managing your clients, managing your marketing operations, the smoother it's going to go as you try to scale. If you're not saving records, if you're not organizing your invoices, if you're not clearly tracking client timelines and deadlines or tracking invoices to see our customers paying me on time, these are really, really, really important things that are going to come back to bite you when 6 months from now a client is asking, hey, did you receive this check? Or hey, did you receive this invoice? Whatever it is, or if they're asking for receipts about a project that you did last year, it has come up, and we have thankfully always been very organized. And that is something that I'm always thankful for in the moment when we have a client reach out and say something. I said, oh, yep, right here, I have everything in this folder. So we want to make sure that we have very clear operational structure, even if you're just one person, because as you grow, you might want to bring in an executive assistant, you might want to bring in a partner, and you want to make sure that everyone is very clear on how the business operates and what systems are in place to make everything go smoothly. So we're assessing the efficiency here of your internal and client-facing operations. And just a few quick checks we want to be asking, are your key business processes clearly defined? Do they make sense? And most importantly, what tools are we using for project management, for financials, for marketing, et cetera? And do we regularly review your financial health? Are we regularly reviewing, making sure that our systems are working? And most importantly, that we're billing and receiving our payments on time. So what I want you to do here is go through these 4 systems and put down what tools, if any, what your toolkit is or your tech stack is for this system in your business. And so for the 4 that I have outlined, so this would be your marketing system, your CRM, your customer management system, your financial system, and your project management system. And just as an example of what we do in our business for marketing, we have a very specific system that we use. We primarily post on Instagram and on LinkedIn, and every Monday we have a content planning day. We have a standard operating procedure, which you can see there in the 3rd column. And that's literally a document that we say it's Monday. On Monday, we produce, I have it right here. We produce 1 quote graphic, we produce 2 reels, we produce 4 LinkedIn posts and 2 emails. This is what we do every Monday. And so we sit together, we produce them, we have documents in our Google Drive, and then we schedule them using a tool called Buffer. That's a social media scheduling tool. I'm pretty sure it's free or relatively affordable. And that's the process every week for making sure we get content out. We used to try to just do it ad hoc as we had time, and we were never consistent, and it was just a mess. So once we've created the standard operating procedure for some of the content, we're able to batch it, where once a month we'll just make a bunch of quote graphics. We have on our Instagram account, any of you who know us from Instagram, we make basically just funny memes about nonprofit life. Those are usually batched in advance, but we'll put a bunch of quotes together in an Excel document, and then we'll use Canva. Canva is a huge tool for us in our marketing, and we will batch create them. So we might create 20 at once, and then we schedule those out on one day so that they're just in the system and we're not having to go in every day. Okay, what's the post today we're going to post? So a lot of times I'm never even touching the social media account because that's something that we're doing way in advance. So tools there for us would be Canva, Buffer, Instagram, LinkedIn. And standard operating procedure is just one document, one Word document that we both adhere to. That's the system. For the CRM, that's where we track any leads, any conversations that we're having with people who may be wanting to now join the mentorship program, but also any clients that we have, people that are being referred to us by partners. We use Airtable. We were previously using Asana, and we were using that for project management, but we have actually switched over to Airtable. We think it's basically a CRM like Monday.com or something like that plus Asana. So we like it a little bit better, but Asana works great as well. And we also have a standard operating procedure for that, where anyone that we're chatting with who we think we might be able to help with our services, we are following up every 7 days if we haven't heard back from them. And that way you are not just letting them kind of fade away, but you're following up and saying, hey, I know you were interested. Do you want to have a conversation? You have a series of sales questions to move them to the next stage. Finances, we have always used QuickBooks. We've used that since the beginning of our business. QuickBooks Online, I believe it's $50 a month, and there's some kind of promotion to join. I love it. We do all of our invoicing from there, and it's just great. I know there are other tools. If anyone has any ideas or any tools that they know about, please feel free to share that in the chat. Cool. Yeah, anyone has any tools that they want to share, we'd love that. Yeah, I love technology. That would be awesome, but QuickBooks has always worked really well for us. We bill all of our clients monthly unless it's a project, but we still usually bill out on the first of the month. And that has usually worked very well for us. But that, of course, will depend on your pricing structure, your project type, etc. And then finally, we have project management. So we're doing that in Airtable now as well. So we've combined those tools. We were previously using Asana. You can use Excel and things like that, but we do find as the tasks get more complex and you bring on more clients, you want to make sure that you're tracking timelines properly for each one, and that's usually going to take a management tool. And then for each one of these, you want to be developing a standard operating procedure. So just give you guys 1 or 2 more minutes just to fill these out and make some notes for yourselves. Honeybooks, yeah. Thanks, Heather. I've heard of Honeybooks. Monday, I love. And I haven't heard of Cloud Campaign. That's cool. We like Buffer. Buffer's pretty good. When we used to work nonprofit, we've obviously used Hootsuite, Sprout Social, but those I think tend to be way too expensive for individuals to use. All right, just 1 more minute. And you can look up online templates for how to create a standard operating procedure. That's something that we do spend quite a bit of time on in the mentorship program, just because it's really important to get this right for your business and document these things. I mean, I do these also with every one of the clients that we have. When we finish a project with them, I actually provide a standard operating procedure that outlines exactly what I did. We don't offer this so much anymore, but we used to do a lot of CRM work. That was our niche in our initial iteration of our consulting firm. And we would set up CRMs, we would help migrate CRMs. And afterwards, of course, you don't want to walk out the door and no one knows what you did with their data, setting up their donor database. So I would leave a very detailed instructional document that was basically a manual for how I set up their data. This is how it works. Here's the segmentations, keywords, etc. So yeah, I've found those to be very helpful, even as part of the project management process. All right. And then the last phase of our audit here is going to be looking at product, which broadly means your customer success, your deliverables, the services that you're offering, and evaluating the relevance and the impact of those services. And I mentioned in the beginning, when you're developing your niche, everything is going to go back to your niche and your ideal client. We want to make sure that the services that we're offering are clearly aligned with the needs of your target audience, your target client. So to do that, of course, we want to really understand what the problem is that subset of nonprofits face. So for an organization that is looking to set up a new CRM, for instance. They're dealing with all of their database. They don't have a database and they're dealing with all of their data in Excel files. It's super messy. And they really know that they want to make the switch, but they don't have the bandwidth or the technology expertise to go out there and figure out which CRM they need, what services, what tools, and all of these things. So we would come in and we would offer an initial audit to help them pick the right CRM for them. Then we would do a project where we would help set up that CRM, upload all their data, et cetera. And then the third stage, we would offer a retainer where we would stay on for 6 months and we would train them and we would be sort of like a VIP, like concierge, like help ticket, where they would be able to call us whenever they said, hey, we're onboarding someone new, or hey, we'd really love a training on this feature, or can you contact support at this CRM to help us figure out a problem we're having? So all of these services were laser focused on solving the problem, which was that the nonprofit wanted to have a better way to manage their donor data, the hub for all of their donor data, but they lacked the bandwidth and they lacked the technology expertise to do that themselves. So we addressed that need at every stage of their journey. So we want to make sure that we have a way to measure the impact of their services. I laugh at that because it's like every nonprofit is trying to measure the impact of what they do. And I know you all have so much experience trying to figure that out. If you work in fundraising at the end of the year, how do we quantify what we do? But you want to make sure that at the very least, you're offering clear transformations and outcomes. So you have tangible deliverables. When we would finish a CRM project, we would say your data will all be in one database. It will be integrated with your other systems. You will have automation set up so that people who sign up for your newsletter list automatically go into your database. And you will have some 3 reports set up that are going to help you understand how much money is coming in every month, how many donors are interacting with your website, and whatever it was. So we would be able to outline the deliverables and then say, this is going to help you do X, Y, and Z, which should be tied back in to the initial problem they expressed to you in the sales call. And finally, we want to ask ourselves what sets your services apart from your competitors. So there's a ton of consultants just out there in general. I know any of you are on LinkedIn or on Instagram. You see there's so many amazing people out there offering so many services. And well, I personally believe that there is more than enough work to go around because there are 1.9 million nonprofits in the United States, and I haven't found one yet that didn't need help with something. And individual solo entrepreneurs can only take on so much work at a time. So you definitely have more than enough room in this market, but you also want to make sure that your product is unique to you and offering a very specific transformation. So you don't want to just say, oh yeah, we do grant writing. You want to talk about the kinds of grant writing that you do, the kinds of clients that you work with, talk about social proof and customer testimonials and all that, and talk about what sets you apart. So for this last activity here, as we get towards the end of the training, I want you to do basically a spoke and wheel diagram on your notes. And if you don't know your niche, that's okay if you're still working that out, but you can use this even just as a practice. You could do a couple different circles with a couple different ideas. So for us, if our niche was the CRM, setup, support, or fundraising technology, our services would be CRM audit and selection, and CRM strategy would be CRM migration project, and then it would be CRM training and support retainer package. And I could very clearly and specifically outline how each one of those connected back to the niche and each one of those solved the problem that my target client was looking for. So I'll just give you a few minutes here. Ask any questions you want in the chat about this topic, about the product. I'll just give you a few minutes to kind of take some notes here and play around with this chart. And any questions about any other part of the training as well so far. And based on these four sections, now that we've gone through them all, do any of them stand out to you as an area that you want to tackle first now that you've had a little bit of time to think about it and audit your business? Anything that stands out, you're like, yes, I really need to focus on this, and I think it would be a major improvement. Or maybe everything's just a little tired and ready for an upgrade. Cool, Heather, you're saying product. Yeah, when we were able to refine our product down to what made sense, that was just such a game changer because you don't realize how thin you're spreading yourself when you're offering all of these different services and taking on all of these jobs. Obviously, any nonprofit you work with, once you do a good job once, they're going to find out that you know how to do other things that aren't necessarily related to your primary service. That's happened to us more than once, but it can get tiring if you come in as the CRM expert and then they're asking you to consult on plan giving and major gifts and whatever. Sure, you've done it, but you're having to reinvent the wheel a lot more often than if you just stick with a service that is tried and true and that you're comfortable offering. So I would say the more that you can refine those services, the better it's going to be. All right, great. So I don't see any other questions coming in there. I'm just going to move ahead. This concludes the four parts of the audit. Now I'm going to move into the last section and just want to share a little bit about how you can work with us if you're interested. I'm Julia, of course, and Kat is also on the call. So a lot of you probably know us from Relatable Nonprofit, our Instagram account, and we also now are on LinkedIn and on our website, of course. So just wanted to share in case you're not exactly familiar with what we do today, but our business, Relatable Nonprofit, empowers growth-driven men and women with nonprofit hearts, socially conscious people to succeed in consulting. And this has really grown out of our journey in consulting. We were both nonprofit professionals. I was a development director, and Kat was a program officer at a private foundation. And I don't know, some of you might be familiar with our story, but we both left our jobs in 2021 and decided to go all in consulting, which we've been doing for the last 3 years. And now, because of the interest that we've heard from a lot of our friends and people in our network, we have recently launched the mentorship program for nonprofit professionals who are interested in becoming consultants themselves. So this is a new service that we are offering as a separate kind of business from our consulting firm. And just a little bit about the mentorship. It is a 12-month done with you consulting incubator. So it's going to help you find your niche, specialize your services, build a marketing and sales funnel, and ideally land your dream clients. So we do this with trainings. We have a live call every Wednesday where everyone gets on the call and we talk about a different topic, whether it is marketing, sales, product, or operations. We're going to be talking about that, doing a training kind of like this one. And then we all have a great discussion afterwards. We also have a community that you have access to 24/7 where you can introduce yourself. You can share any trouble that you're having in your business, and we will respond within 24 hours, giving you real-time feedback on proposals, on sales scripts, on things like that. And we also have the support that I mentioned where we're offering templates, trainings, resources. We do live one-on-one calls periodically as well. And everything is also recorded. So whenever you join, you get access to every previous training that we've ever done, as well as all of the resources that we've developed from our time consulting. The investment in the program is $3,000 for the year, or it's $275 a month. You also get access to our Donor Flow Academy, which is basically a complete download of all of our fundraising, development, nonprofit management program, all of our content. So it's about 35 trainings, and you're getting access to all of our consulting materials that we've used with our clients in the last few years. So basically just everything that we've ever used with clients. So you're getting access to contracts, proposal templates, sales scripts, again, all that stuff comes along with that as well. And that's a DIY course in addition to the mentorship. And you have 7 days to join and cancel. That gives you time to join a call and see if it's right for you. Otherwise, it is a 12-month program. And I did just want to share that we have the coolest people in the program. We've got people joining from California to DC to Texas, just really amazing nonprofit professionals from all over the country. And the amazing thing about it is really the connections that I'm already seeing between the people in the program. A couple of them are meeting up in Nashville. Actually, I think one of you said you're from Nashville next week, and some of them in DC are meeting up as well. So it's really exciting. It's a really great way to find maybe a business partner or to find people to contract with and do complementary services. So if you're interested, please feel free to check out our website. Kat, maybe you could just drop the link in the chat in case anyone wants to check it out. It's relatablenonprofit.com. You can also email us. I'll drop my email here. Julia Divine Parker. Yeah, and Kat just dropped the link. So yeah, so that's the presentation, that's the training, and that's a little bit about what we do. If you're interested in learning more and getting involved, please feel free to reach out. We'll just hang out for a few minutes here. All right, guys, any questions? Oh, I see, cool. What have you found different about consulting with fractional work? Yeah, so that's interesting. We know a couple people who run kind of fractional fundraising programs. I think that's great if you are looking for kind of part-time work, maybe a side hustle next to your primary job, but you don't want to go full-time. Consulting is different because you're not just being a consultant where you work for a company and they're feeding you work. You're actually building your own business as well. So you're owning all of your own clients and you're managing all of those relationships directly. So it's more of a solo entrepreneurship thing. And we found that we were able to do this full time, supporting both of us. And it's been great. So I do think fractional, there's a place for it if you're just looking for like a little bit of extra side income, but not the same thing as starting your own consulting business. During the mentorship, pricing, yes, we have several trainings. I cover that usually in the sales conversations. We talk about pricing and also sometimes in product, but we share different pricing types because there's a lot of different pricing structures. So you could do a project, you could do a retainer. We talk a lot about value-based pricing because obviously everyone starts out with an hourly rate. And while hourly can be good, there's a lot of kind of pitfalls with just doing an hourly rate, especially if they want you to. Basically, we've just seen a lot of nonprofits try to take advantage of that hourly rate, and it seems to incentivize you to not really get as much done with your work rather than if you're working on a value-based pricing. Now you're getting paid a flat fee for the project or for the service, and you're going to try to get it done as quickly and efficiently as possible. So we talk a lot about that, yes, in the program, and we have some really good strategies for how to price based on what you're worth. Any other questions before we end the call? And thank all you guys so much for being here today. If you go to our LinkedIn or you go to our website, you can also join our email list. We have a lot of free resources that we share every week